If you can score 12 out of 20 on this quiz, you definitely grew up in the 80s and 90s. Let's find out if you still remember. Which toy was a spring made of metal coil that could walk down a flight of stairs on its own? Answer: Slinky. The Slinky was invented in 1943 when a naval engineer accidentally knocked a tension spring off a shelf and watched it walk. Which board game has players pulling plastic sticks from a tube, trying not to let the marbles on top fall through? Answer: Kerplunk. Kerplunk built tension using pure physics. No dice or cards, just steady hands. Which talking teddy bear used a built-in cassette player so its mouth and eyes moved while it told stories? Answer: Teddy Ruxpin. Teddy Ruxpin's cassette tapes had 2 audio tracks, one for the story, one to control his facial movements. Which electronic memory game challenged players to repeat increasingly long sequences of colored lights and tones? Answer: Simon. Simon's 4-color, 4-sound design was inspired by arcade games and became one of the first mass-market electronic games. Which doll line came packaged with fake adoption papers and a unique name for each one? Answer: Cabbage Patch Kids. Demand for Cabbage Patch Kids was so extreme in 1983 that stores reported physical altercations between shoppers. Which large-wheeled plastic tricycle was designed low to the ground so kids could spin it in sharp circles? Answer: Big Wheel. The Big Wheel's low center of gravity made donut spins, a signature move kids showed off to friends. Which drawing toy used 2 knobs to control a line on a gray screen? Race completely by shaking it. Answer: Etch-a-Sketch. Shaking an Etch-a-Sketch redistributes aluminum powder inside to coat the screen again, erasing the drawing. Which toy line featured vehicles and everyday objects that could transform into robots? Answer: Transformers. The original Transformers toys were based on existing toy designs from a Japanese company, which Hasbro licensed for the US. Which toy let kids push small colored pegs into a lit panel to create glowing designs? Answer: Light Bright. Light Bright came with black paper templates, so kids could trace designs by poking pegs through pre-marked holes. Which small plastic figures were originally Japanese erasers shaped like muscular wrestlers, sold in bulk bags? Answer: Muscle. Muscle figures were originally sold as erasers in Japan under the name Kinkeshi before being repackaged as toys in the US. Which action figure line was based on a cartoon about a family that used bionic implants to fight a villain named Dr. Scarab? Answer: Bionic 6. One of the Bionic 6 characters was a gorilla-like robot helper with the acronym name Fluffy. Which gross-looking ball-shaped toys had squishable faces and came with their own cartoon and video game? Answer: Mad Balls. Mad Balls were first released in 1986 and were popular enough to get their own DVD cartoons and comic book series. Which line of action figures had spring-loaded arms and legs that would chop or kick when a button was pressed, themed around a martial arts movie? Answer: The Karate Kid. The figures came with plastic boards and bricks kids could snap in half using the chopping action. Which sticker collection from Topps had kids trading and collecting cards featuring a parody cartoon character with a gross or punny name? Answer: Garbage Pail Kids. Garbage Pail Kids cards were a parody of Cabbage Patch Kids and became so popular, some schools banned them. Which toy line was based on rocks that transformed into warriors with mismatched faces and bodies? Answer: Rock Lords. Rock Lords figures could be mixed and matched, letting kids combine different heads, bodies, and limbs from various figures. Which handheld electronic toy used a synthesized voice to spell out words for kids to practice? Answer: Speak and Spell. The Speak and Spell's distinctive robotic voice was later sampled by several musicians in early electronic and hip-hop tracks. Which toy line featured Insect Warrior figures with sound-activated battle cries using a hidden chip? Answer: Sectors. Sectors figures had a built-in voice box activated by squeezing, letting kids make the insect warriors speak during battles. Which Tomy toy was a tube of chemical paste that, when heated with a hairdryer, expanded into a foamy 3D design on a t-shirt? Answer: Fluffits. Fluffits let kids create their own puffy t-shirt designs at home using nothing but the paste and a household hairdryer. Which die-cast vehicle line was known for low-friction wheels designed to outperform competitor toy cars on tracks? Answer: Hot Wheels. Hot Wheels wheel design was specifically engineered to reduce friction, letting the cars race faster than Matchbox cars of the same era. Which fantasy-themed action figure line was based on a 1981 film featuring mythological creatures like Medusa and Pegasus? Answer: Clash of the Titans. Despite the film's iconic creature designs, the toy line struggled commercially and is now considered one of the more overlooked 80s action figure lines. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know in the comments which toy you remember most from your childhood. See you next time.